All right, so I have gone through some of the power hours that we've had over the last few weeks, and they've been absolutely phenomenal. Morgan, I see you on the call. I just watched yours the other night, rewatched because I got half of it before a call last Thursday and watched the second half, and so good. And then I was just watching the one from Tuesday, and I'm like, okay, Marie Barker killed it. And there were so many aspects of theirs that I absolutely loved, and I decided I'm going to create my own little power hour and let you guys in on what I do in my business and what I have found to be most impactful when I'm getting myself in the mode of wanting to build my business. And I want to come from a place of not where I am today, having achieved a lot of the dreams and things that I had initially. I want to come from a place of like, okay, before the success, how do you get in the mindset to build your dream team? How do you put out these really passionate, convicted invites when you aren't necessarily at your goals yet? And I think that that's really important because I realize that's where the majority of the people are on the call. So to start off, I want to pull out that dream team list that we had talked about. So the 10 qualities of your dream coach. One, it's really important, and I know that Marie touched a bunch on this on Tuesday's call if you were on. She talked a lot about knowing your niche, knowing who you're talking to, and really being able, when you're sharing posts and stuff, being so specific on who you're talking to that they can feel that you're talking to them. Like when they're reading your story, they're really reading their story. They're thinking about their own personal experiences and how your story correlates to them. That's how we all read things. That's why when you are watching one of your favorite influencers and they're talking about something, like, oh my gosh, me too. And that's why we connect with people. We like to feel like we're not alone. It's the best feeling in the world to feel like someone else gets you. And I really feel like as a coach, that's our job, is we're wanting to find people that will resonate with our story and go on the similar journey that we ourselves are going on. The problem is sometimes who we have been in the past doesn't necessarily align with the goals and dreams that we have. I know for me personally, just speaking from my own journey, when I started on day one as a coach, was not the kind of girl that could not only just achieve the dreams that I had, but even handle them. There's no way. I could not have handled the big vision that I had for my life. I didn't understand how to be a great leader. I didn't understand, what it looked like to do the things that I do today. So I had to develop into that person. So I remember going to a seminar one time and they were like, break out a sheet of paper, write the 10 qualities of your dream client, your dream, I don't think they called it a coach because it was not a network marketing thing, but this dream person that you're looking for. Now, what I want you guys to do with your list, and we're gonna take a couple minutes to do this, is I just want you to go down those qualities and I want you to rate yourself. Over the last 30 days, how have you showed up living out these qualities on your social media? How have you showed up in your behind the scenes? Are you your dream coach based on the last 30 days in your life and your business? And I realize the last 30 days right now have been a little more trying than the typical 30 days. So I think this is a really important activity, especially right now, because we are in a different, very unique season. And I personally need to course correct on some things. I let a couple of things get to me. I'm proud of some things, the ways I showed up in certain things, but I'm not as proud of other things. And so when I'm able to look at that on a sheet of paper and say, I really need to make sure that my faith is coming absolutely first, because it's the first thing I have on my list, is that the person that I would want on my team, my dream team, would be faith driven. They would have a conviction to something higher than themselves and realize that there's something bigger going on beyond me being a Beachbody coach wanting to get to the next rank. And for me, when I self-check that and realize, the number one quality you want, you're maybe putting on 2, 3, 4 on your list because you're thinking you're in control over here and needing to do all the things. So I can recheck and recourse correct myself to make sure that I'm in alignment with that. Because even if I'm not posting it, somehow, I don't know how this all works. I know that energy and the universe and God and all this stuff, it's working and I don't fully understand it. But I will tell you, it doesn't matter how convincing you think you are in your social media posts. If your behind the scenes does not match what you are posting, it will not work. I don't know how it happens, but it does. 100% of the time. I can write like the most amazing post and not be in a good state of mind, and I won't attract anybody. And then I can write the like kind of what I view as sort of just like a whatever, just threw it up in like a couple minutes post, and I'm in a great state. Boom, it kills it. So anyway, let's take the next 2 minutes. I want you to just look down your list, go down 1 through 10. How do you rate yourself as of the last 30 days in these 10 categories that you wrote down is the most important thing for you, for the dream team person that you're wanting to attract into your business? All right. Do you notice a few that are low? Shake your head yes. Okay. Those are the ones we're going to be intentional, especially over the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, as you go about focusing on. Those are going to be your frogs. That's going to be the thing that you focus on first, making sure those things are in alignment. The 10 things are the 10 qualities you would want in your dream coach. So when it comes to this list, this is who you're wanting to attract. Well, like attracts like. If you are not showing up as this person on a continuous basis, not one good day, but you're continually living into the person that you actively need to become in order to achieve the vision that you have for your life, you won't attract those people. Like your vibrancy, your frequency, they don't align. And so therefore they're not attracted to you because they're at a higher vibration. You will attract your weakest characteristics. It is the most annoying thing about this business. I, again, don't understand how it works, but I remember my beginning parts of a coach, I was a habitual quitter. So quitting in the way of I would start businesses and quit, and I would say I was going to do something and I would never do it. I would always come up with an excuse. As soon as somebody said, do you want to come to my whatever get together? I'd be like, oh yeah. I would immediately start to conjure up how I could get out of that if I don't feel like it. And so guess what kind of coaches I attracted, even though I had started to make that change. Like I had started to get better about it, but I wasn't consistent long enough yet to start to weed out those habits until I got so consistent that if I say yes to something 100% of the time, unless somebody's dying, I'm going to do it. It is like a thing for me now. It could be the worst possible timing. Last week I had committed to a call for somebody way before, and I thought I was going to be moving months before. The call ended up coming the weekend that we moved, and not only moved, but moved ourselves with all of our children home because there's no school and there's no movers during coronavirus. And he was like, no, it's totally fine. You can get out of it. I'm like, no, not only because I care about you and I care about the call, but this is like important to me to live into this because I want the kind of coaches that show up when it's hard, because those are the kind of coaches that are going to be super successful. So you got to think about those characteristics and challenge yourself to be that kind of coach. And when you hear the whisper, because you will hear it, you'll catch yourself starting to do the things that you've done in the past that have gotten you to where you are. You've got to learn how to catch yourself and stop yourself from doing those things and realize that is not going to get me where I want to go. So even though I don't feel like it in this moment, I'm going to do it anyway. And when you do that, I swear those are the moments where all of a sudden momentum starts to pick up and start to shift. So that's number one. My second challenge to you is we're going to live into this fully tonight. You are going to get a visualization of who you are actively becoming, why that's important. Like for me, it was my family. Like I needed to provide for my family. I knew that I was the one that could put in the hard work to build something for us. My husband, we were both bartenders. I needed to be the one that broke the chains, that got him home, that got us home with our daughter who was premature and not a healthy baby by any means for her first year or so of life. And I was determined to make that happen. So my why was so strong that it pulled me to do things that weren't convenient at the time. So you have to have a clear vision of what you're working towards and why it's so important that you do it. It's kind of like they talk about a burning building, of what will you run into the burning building for? Well, 100%, my daughter's future all day long, running into the building. You know, I'm going to do the things that are uncomfortable to me. So living into this for the next 30 days, living into this tonight as we go into inviting and all the fun stuff, knowing who you are becoming and believing that that is your future is super important. So I want to do a little bit of a visualization that I personally would used to focus on. I want you guys to close your eyes. I would visualize a year, 2 years out. I would think about the things that would no longer weigh me down. I would think about the feeling of waking up, feeling lighthearted, the feeling of like excitement about getting to work. Like I actually got pulled out of bed. I'm not a morning person by any means, and I would get pulled out of bed to go check my coach online office, check on my coaches, see the rank advancements, get to post their beautiful pictures on their timelines and celebrate their successes, what it was gonna feel like when Beachbody gave me the call that they wanted me to be on the national wake up call and share my story and my testimony with thousands of other people, what it was gonna feel like to know that all of the things that had happened to me prior to becoming a coach, the hardships, the things that I had really thought were happening to me, I now realize like they were happening for me. They were giving me that testimony that was going to help other people to see what was possible for them. And it was going to be all the things that I stumbled on through the journey that were actually going to be the encouragement to other people. It was the fact that this journey wasn't easy, was all the lessons and the ways that I had become a great leader because I leaned into the storm versus saying that's just not possible for me. So for you guys, I want you to think a year or two from now, what does life look like for you? Who are you able to help? You know, do you have a family member that, gosh, their health is completely transformed because sure, they weren't initially all about this when you first started your journey, but you stuck with it long enough that they're like, okay, tell me more, like get me in. And now they're 30, 40, 50 pounds down, they're off medications. You know, what does it feel like when mom and dad are struggling financially and you're able to just plop them into a spot that you've now built up a residual income for them to not have to worry, to not have to stress anymore? What does it feel like when your child comes to you and they're like, mommy, I want you to be at this recital, and you're able to be there because there's no one telling you when you're going to work. You get to work. Your work works around your life versus the vice versa of that, right? That is all the stuff that I used to visualize for me. I used to think about London coming to me and saying, Mom, what were your dreams when you were a little girl? And me getting to tell her all the different things that I wanted to do and getting to say, like, London, we are living my dream, versus me being like, well, I'm sorry, it just didn't work out. It was super hard. You were born, and all the excuses. Think about that moment when you get to tell them, like, babe, we are living them. And because I lived my dream, I get to be here to support you 1000% and living towards your dreams. They get to follow your example versus you just talking about what they should do and not showing them that way. I think it's really important that you know that you have a good heart and that you have good intentions as we go into inviting and stories and all that stuff. Like, are you here just to message people and make a quick $50 on a challenge pack? Because I don't think so. Like for me, even at the very beginning, even when I needed money, it was never about a transaction. Think about us as coaches, how much we invest into someone when they become a challenger. how many resources they get access to for the money that they spend. It is mind-blowingly crazy that they get access to every workout that's ever been created, all these nutritional products that are absolutely phenomenal, best in the business, and you, and challenge groups to help support them, and a community of people, and live workouts that we offer through our team. Like, the value of what you are offering people is insane, but the best thing that they get is you. Because you got to think about these characteristics, who you are actively becoming. That is your superpower. That is the gift that you get to give someone, especially if you're connecting with people who are like you. Because imagine you could be the person that you needed most in your hardest time, how impactful it would have been. Like, if you knew then what you know now, how much you could have changed your life. You didn't have to be making $1 million in order to change your life. Maybe it's just that one person to ride alongside you, to lock arms with you, to make you feel like you matter, that would have done all the difference. And I think sometimes we underestimate the value that we have as coaches, even at the very beginning. And we don't offer the gift because we're afraid of what people might think. We question if they're gonna think we are trying to just sell them something. If you know that's not your intention, then let it go, friend, because it's not your heart. Like, you're in this to change lives. I know for a fact, because you could have chosen a faster tracked business. There are quicker ways, but you didn't choose that. You chose one that would actually change people's lives, and that long-term was more sustainable. Point in case, like, we are in the middle of the pandemic, still able to work. Our company is booming because it actually changes people's lives, because it actually works. So have that in mind as we go into the next part. Before we get to talking about the questions, the Q&A, and your stories that I asked you guys to do, I want you to do a little self-check. I want you to pull up your social media. And I want you to take a peek at the last 9 posts. So when you'll hear people talk about like your top 9, and the reason is, once you go to your profile, that's really what people see. They see your top 9, your last 9 photos. And they're not gonna really, I mean, there's a couple people, but most people are just gonna kind of get a quick glimpse, and that's it. So you want to give people in those 9 photos a good sense of who you are. And a lot of times what I see people do is just too much of one thing, or not enough sharing of their story to where you get to know them. You want to make sure that when people are going to your page, that they're getting to know all the important aspects of you. And really, the list that you made, you should be exemplifying in those posts. So maybe it's that 1 or 2 of the 9 are something health and fitness related, like your transformation or you working out. But the other 7 should be other aspects of your life. How do I get to know you? How does your story connect to my story? And do I like you? Do I feel like I could connect with you? And so I want you to do a little self-check real quick. Like, would you follow you? Right at the gates, if you don't know anything about yourself, you pull yourself away, you go to your page, would you follow you? If you DM'd you or liked 3 of your photos or commented, would you go to your page and would you click follow? If the answer is no, then we have some work to do, right? But that's okay. I mean, we all have to start somewhere. But the next thing I want you to see is, what would you know about you as of the last 9 posts? So I'm gonna put on a couple, just one song. I want you to look at your stuff. I want you to take notes, and I want you to see, okay, is there anything I need to clear off there? Is the giveaway that I did, 2-3 weeks ago that's no longer relevant? Can I remove that? Is there something in there where it's too much of one thing, where I can move my top 9 up a little bit to where it's a little more clean? Because we're gonna start to reach out to people. And the opportunity that you have is that they're gonna swipe over and be like, who is this person who likes me so much that they're commenting on my stuff? And they're gonna look at your top 9. So we're gonna clean that up a bit, take note of what you maybe need to work on over the next week. And then we will get to the nitty gritty.
I've been dancing with different kinds and stumbling out of bed. Follow you through the dark, you can't enough. brain. Maybe you know it's obvious. I'm a sucker for you. Say you want it, I don't really want it. I'm a sucker for you. I'm a sucker for things I know about you, about you, typical me, typical is true. I'm a sucker for you. Yeah. Don't complicate, cause I know you can know everything about me. I can't imagine. I'm a sucker for you. I'm a sucker for you.
Savannah, I feel you. This song is my jam. Okay, so I'm gonna give it another minute. I'm not gonna give it full 5. Also, if you look through it, jot down like 3 post ideas that you need to add to your 9 over the next day or 2.
I'm a sucker for you. I'm a sucker for
I meant to add this, but just for some post ideas for you guys. Non-monetary value added. I think we only think in terms of financial success when it comes to Beachbody, but for me, some of the things I gained most significant were not financial. So someone to share the journey with, personal development focused, like that alone has completely changed my life. Someone telling me I inspired them. Like I remember the feeling of someone first telling me that I inspired them to do anything positive, and being someone that I never really heard that before. It meant the world to me. Seeing a friend that I cared about gain confidence, being encouraged to dream again, earning money, even just $50 to contribute to my family, me gaining confidence, the accountability that my job is to build other people up, having a tribe, a family, this people to pour into me, to teach me for free how to do this successfully, best friends, people that actually love and support me, a system that actually works, and a way to do this the right way. So those are just some ideas. Okay, let's go into the Q&A that I posted. This is something that I try to do on a regular basis, is just ask my audience, hey, what questions do you have? And I typically get really great questions that I wouldn't think to ask, which is awesome. But then there is the problem of like, what if you don't get questions? What if you don't get anything related to coaching? Well, the cool thing is with the question feature is you can ask yourself questions. So if you go to your stories, you click on the question box, you can type in questions to ask yourself. And someone earlier had asked, like, is that deceptive? I don't believe it is. I think you have to check your intentions. Now, if your intention, like we talked about just before this, is to weasel someone in to a quick sale, yeah, that would be kind of slimy. I look at it as a way to, how can I better inform someone to make a well-informed decision? What questions did I have before I was a coach? What questions did I have before I was a customer? What are things that typically have held my previous coaches back that they later told me? They didn't ask me beforehand because they were nervous. I would poll you guys. If you had a hard time coming up with questions, I would poll other coaches and say, hey guys, what are some things, concerns, misunderstandings that you had about coaching prior to, or about Beachbody in general. And I would ask those questions to yourself. Yeah, exactly. They're too shy to ask because they know that you can see who asks it, and they aren't sure if they want you being like up their butts asking them if they're interested more. So a lot of people don't end up asking those types of questions, or maybe they don't even know how to phrase what they're actually asking. And it's just allowing you a way to be able to share more about coaching or more about your challenge groups than you probably could in just a post. So for me, I use questions. I actually just used the questions yesterday. I did not ask any of my own, but I totally have in the past. So when I really wanted to focus and steer the direction, what happens is funny. Once I start asking those questions, other people then come in with follow-up questions to the thing that I started to share about, because it sparks people's thing, like, and what you focus your posts on, people ask questions about. When I have gone through a period of time where I haven't talked enough about Beachbody, and I'm talking about my lash brand, people are asking me all questions on lashes. When I shift and I'm really sharing my fitness journey, people ask me all questions about my fitness. When I'm focused on coaching, they're asking me all questions about coaching. When I just post a lot about this house, they're asking me all about the house. So you're gonna kind of get what you have been sharing about. And it sometimes wakes me up to like, eek, I need to be focused a little bit more well-rounded in what I'm sharing about. So I want you guys to come up with 3 to 5 questions that you can ask yourself. And these don't all have to be Beachbody related. This could be about you being able to share different aspects of your story, or your vision for your future, or what things make you most excited, about the business that you're building, or who do you look for in a coach, or what does it mean to be a part of your challenge groups? Just basic questions that we think that they know. They don't know. They really, really don't know. So if you break it down into really finite things like that, it does help explain it to them. Honestly, people don't even know what we do. So you have to just share, like, do you have to have any qualifications in order to be a coach on your team? That could be one that you use, where you can share how you decided to become a coach. I know I started as just a customer, and I was so passionate about sharing my journey that I was naturally inspiring other people, and I realized I'm making this business a lot of money. So that you can just be able to share some of those aspects of your business that you might not be able to otherwise. So that is your challenge. Your intent is to inform, to inspire, to connect, and to serve. So have those things in mind when you are forming your questions. Ask them to yourself, and then the challenge is respond to them. So the way that you do that is, once you have the question box, you swipe up and you'll be able to see your questions, and you can click on it, it'll say respond, and you can do a story explaining. So 10 minutes to do this. Take 3 to 5 minutes of that to form your questions, then take 5 minutes to respond to one. You only have 15 seconds to respond, so keep that in mind. Marie Barker, please, my friend, I listened to your Power Hour today and was like obsessed. Photo reply is perfect. You can text onto that photo. Oh, thank you. Good one, Savannah. Yeah, if you guys have questions, pop them into the chat. I mean, well, it doesn't matter if it's questions for me, but it can also be the questions that you're thinking about sharing to give other people ideas. I'm gonna type that up you. Let me see if I can show you, Lana. Okay. Okay, so this was my one from yesterday, my question box. If you swipe upward, these are the questions. So then when I want to respond to one, I just click reply, and then this one right here. And that takes me to the camera. And you can either do a picture and then type on it, or you can do. So my favorite items that I bought for my house were, and then you just send it, and it sends it like a regular story to your general stories. Corey, I do them in Instagram. I don't know if Facebook has it. So how do you do your own questions? You go to your story once it's posted, your question story, and you just click on the type something. Oops. So this is archived, so I don't think I can do questions anymore. You click on that box and it'll let you type. So once this is posted, you click on this and it'll let you type a question in and submit it. Yeah, Matthew, it is awesome. Just like a weekly Q&A. You can do this like Q&A Friday or Q&A Wednesday, whatever. I do them weekly. Nope, they can't see who asked it. D, when you go back to this and you swipe up, you don't see any question from you submitting one? Yes. I think this is my invite playlist. Invite jam sesh. That would be, but you can type anything in that box. So you can say, you can use it for, I think you can use this for music. The cool thing about the question box is you don't have to necessarily have it be a Q&A. It can be, drop your email below if you're interested in our next online virtual fit camp or whatever. It can be, what do you guys do with your what are you guys doing with your toddlers for quarantine? I am running out of ideas, and they can type in their ideas. The only thing is the responses, they can run out of space. So you want to kind of think of things that they can respond to within a sentence. Yep, Jamie, exactly what we're doing. So like having them think of 3 to 5 questions that you can ask yourself to be able to respond. Yeah, bots are definitely responding to stories. And I'm even getting like to the question box, I'll get some random things and I'm just ignore it and move on. Ooh, yes, Abby, good one. So Abby's asking, do you have any challenge groups starting soon? Good way for you to be able to respond and be like, well, actually, yes, May 4th is my next group. I'd love to have you. Yeah, those are typically the bot people. Okay, we'll give this like one more minute. Of course, this is something that you guys can follow up with later. Your question box stays open for more questions for 24 hours. You can also, if you run out of time and you can't respond to all of them, or if you think of, you know, oh, I want to space that out a little bit more, you can go to your archives of your stories and be able to still respond to it. That's funny. And then I like to have a, my highlights. So these here, you can save your question and answers, your commonly asked questions, to a highlight. So I have 2 Q&As. And a lot of times people go straight to the Q&As when they go to my page and they'll click through them. And it's a really fast way for them to get to know me. I save the ones that I actually think are relevant long-term. Like if it's just, what paint color was that? Scrap that one. But if it's like something that I felt like was a solid response, like save to Q&A questions. So Kara, I mean, really the thing that I have noticed when I want increased engagement, I need to go increase my engagement and other people's stuff. Highlight covers I make on PicMonkey. You can buy them really super cheap on Etsy. You can make them on Canva. Really easy. Yes, use locations for sure. Okay, let me look at my list and we'll take one more minute. So I dropped these files earlier, but I'm gonna drop them again because I know there's been a lot of comments since then. These are my simple invites to coaching. I feel like people for the most part have challenger invites down, but like kind of spaz out when they're thinking about coaching. And so I wanted to have these as examples for you guys. Okay, so our next task is going to be our Eat That Frog task, which is the thing that I feel like a lot of people avoid doing. They dance around the issue. I was just talking to some girls that I'm success partners with, and we're talking about like, dude, we have got to have more pride for what we represent, like especially right now, which is why I was like last second, everybody wear Beachbody Blue. Because I mean, seriously, we represent a company that has so much integrity. The products have so much integrity. They're the best. I have been drinking Hydrate and Energize Mix since about 7 o'clock in the morning and am still going and could probably go for another 6 hours. They work. And I just feel like we need to understand what we are offering people and be bold enough to put it in front of them and not hold somebody else's destiny in our mouth. We also need to give people the benefit of the doubt. I don't know about you guys, but I'm busy. And I've got kids, and most of my followers at this point have kids, and they're busy as well. Just because, okay, I will find another way to share the file, guys. I'm sorry, but you had to come up with your own invite for a hot second, and then I'll copy and paste some stuff. They are going to see your stuff, and they are going to not respond. But that does not mean for 100% fact that you cannot, or they weren't ever interested. I have so many times been super interested in something, walked away and forget I ever saw it because my brain is like a squirrel and jumps from one thing to the other. It's the reason why when I'm doing lives, I don't like to look at comments. So I have a girl who has been following up with me like a boss. And sometimes she'll actually write a message and check in on me. Sometimes she'll just like like a couple of my comment or my posts, and then send me a DM on something that I storied about, just to pop in there. Nothing about the invite, just loving on me. And it'll remind me like, oh yeah, crap. She has legitimately followed up with me like 12 times. And I finally just pulled the trigger. And I actually thanked her for the fact that she kept at me, because I really was interested the entire time. My life is just crazy busy. And so although she probably for a hot second was like, crap, when do I stop following up? She kept going and she got the sale and my respect, because I'm like, dude, thank you. This is gonna help me in the long run. It's just been a crazy season. So guys, I will post the file in a hot second, 1 second. So understand that when you are following up, you are doing somebody a service. You are not annoying them, unless you're being annoying, in which case you need to check yourself. But if you're saying something as simple as, and I'll read you one of the ones from the sample, just to keep it simple. Lord, I need to fix my desktop situation here. Okay. Hey sis, I just wanted to circle back around with you as promised to see if you thought any more about coaching with us. I feel like I've grown so much over the past few weeks, and I'd love to do this alongside of you. That's it. Something simple. Bad timing follow-up. Hey, how'd your vacay go last month? Looks incredible. Totally stalked you. I wanted to circle back with you like we talked about last month to see if it was a better time to chat about coaching. I think it'd be a game changer for you. Cost follow-up. Hey, gorgeous. I wanted to check back with you as promised and see if now was looking like a better time to get started with coaching. I was thinking we could also co-write a post that you could share and possibly have a couple of friends start the accountability group with you and get your products covered almost immediately. I know I'm all about that free life kit or free fit life. So short and simple one. Hey, crazy enough, a month has already passed. Say what? I wanted to pop in as promised and see if you were ready to lock arms and make waves. So it doesn't have to be something weird or gimmicky. I can post these in the Launchpad group and in the Dynasty page right now, but yes, they were in there. So we are 17 minutes away from the end of this thing, so we got to get to inviting. So I want you to take the next 10 minutes and I want you to challenge yourself to go and invite people. And I do not want these to be people that you have never talked to. I am not about that life. I am about talking to people who I've already built some sort of rapport with. I don't need to know all their grandkids' names. I need to be like, hey, we've conversed, I've gone back and forth on your Insta stories before, and it's not weird that I would shoot you an invite. But it doesn't need to be somebody that you're like best friends with necessarily either. Let me post these 1 second. Okay, they are posted in the launch page. Now I'm going to go to the Dynasty page. Okay. Loading, loading, loading. Really talk to people like they're a human that you care about. That's it. I always put myself on the other side of the conversation and ask myself, if I received this, how would I respond? Or would I respond? And sometimes I have to rewrite it. It needs to be conversational. It needs to be like a human, not a bot, right? You guys were all just like talking about bots and how annoying they are and they don't make any sense. And the message is not anything about you. It's obvious. It's just copy and paste. Like, I am really intentional that I make it a friendly conversation. And we'll go over this in the next section with new connections, but I'm very intentional when I'm asking new people to come, when I'm loving on their posts, when I am hoping that they're going to follow me, that they are my people. Like we have some common denominator about our life that would connect us. And so it wouldn't be weird because we're likely very similar. And so do I track these invites? So for me at this point, I do not. However, that's because I add them to collections. So we'll go over that in a second. But we have a spreadsheet that we actually had inspired by Morgan, who shared hers last week. That, let me see if I can find it. I just reposted it in the Dynasty page like a week ago. You guys go invite. I'll find the thing while you are inviting and then hopefully share it if I can find it. Jacob, the Launchpad was a new coach training group that we just did for anyone within the Dynasty. If you're not a new coach, probably not worth being in. Megan, with responding, what do you mean specifically? Like with details?
Hey, oh, I won't let it change me. But I won't let it turn into hate. Oh, I won't let it change me. So I will never play. Can't take my away. So I will never play. It's how we go today. Can't take my away.
Cassie, if you can get through 5 to 10 invites and follow-ups, that would be amazing. So that document I just shared is what you can say when people ask what you've been doing or ask about a challenge group. Okay, I found the tracker. Yes, May 4th. Okay, the link that I just posted, the Google, is a example of our invite tracker. And then all you want to do when you go there is number one, you go to files and then make a copy. And it'll allow you to have your very own copy. That way you're not editing the main one. You want your own copy that you add your stuff to. And it has a breakdown. There's a tracker for IG, new people that you start to follow. There's a tracker for people you've invited to a challenge group. And there's a tracker for people you've invited to coaching. when it comes to being ghosted, you can be fun with it, right? Because like I said before this, that girl, her name is Angie. She did all kinds of things to gain my attention. She would like double tap on the message and it popped it back up to my inbox. So like we had messaged back and forth. I had responded. At times I didn't respond. She would double click her comment or her message to me and it would pop it back into my inbox. I've also had people say that they send like funny gifts, like, you know, you can be playful with it depending on what, it goes gift. You can be silly with it. Like you don't have to take this so seriously. Make this fun. And also know that there are millions and millions of people out there. The problem that I see is people are looking at like their current following and saying, I have to convince these 162 people to not only stay with me, but to join my business. And that is just so not the case. Like if I had the same group of people that I started with, I wouldn't have a business. And so that's what we're gonna go into next in 2 minutes and talk about how we're gonna grow your level of influence. Yes, tag them in posts, show them some love, send them something non-related to the invite, like, hey girl, I just wanted to send you this week's meal plan for our challenge group in case it helps. I know that things are crazy with quarantine and I just want to add some value to your life. That's funny. Yes. Marie, I love that. Hannah, then you can go to their page and comment on something and say, hey girl, I just wanted to be sure. I think my message might have gone to your message request. If you know, you go there and check, you'll probably see it. Yes, we were recording. Oh, Taylor. All right, we're totally gonna go over. I'm so sorry. I just get excited and I want to tell you everything because I want you guys to succeed so freaking bad. You have no idea. This is like such a passion of mine. I'm gonna hit 10 years in July and I'm so sad because we were gonna have a very big parade at Summit, but we'll figure out a way to make up for it. But I just, gosh, if you guys could see what I see, you know? Like I wish I could like pour all my belief into you. And I think that's why I'm going tangents. But let's talk about new connections. Because I was talking to my girls yesterday and I really feel like people get stuck on this. But if you just do some simple math and you add 5 people a day, the way we're just gonna do it right now, 5 people a day, not invites, just new connections, times 5 days a week, that's 25 new people in a week. Over the course of a month, that's 100 times 4.2 is 110 people in a month. 110 people a month. Not necessarily that are all gonna follow you back, but 110 new connections. If you double that, you're at 220 new connections. You need 3 to say yes to a challenge group, to coaching, to Shakeology, whatever, a month to hit Success Club. 3 of 210. Pretty good odds. So it doesn't take you like having a following of 10,000. It doesn't take you talking to billions of people. Like this is, the problem is people only do it one time. Like the problem is you're not doing it consistently enough. And so if you make it harder on yourself because you force it to the end of the month and then you're scrambling and you're talking to the same, 15 people you've been talking to since you signed up 3 months ago and they're tired of it. And then you feel like everybody's tired of it. Nobody's interested. When people say like, nobody's interested, Lord, please. There were like 90,000 new people with Beachbody On Demand like a week ago. It's crazy. There are so many people interested. And then people make generalizations like nobody has money. Please. Somebody just told me they bought the Dyson Airwrap, which is $550 curling iron thing today because of my suggestion in a question box. Okay, so if they're buying a $550 curling iron, they could have bought a challenge bag, 100%. So just understand, you don't make those generalizations because it's not true. You are creating a story that is sealing your fate, and it's not a fate that you want. So one, remember, we're showing up as the person we are actively becoming based on the vision that we have for our lives. There are so many people who need what we have, who need specifically you because they're going to connect to your story. And if you don't show up and do the work, they might never find you and they might never find this. And this could potentially change their life. So don't hold that back. All right. New connections. This is so crazy simple now. There were two different ways that I did it when I was building initially. A lot of people that initially signed up with me were not my friends and family, because I had been a habitual quitter and they needed to see me be consistent. And you know what? Can't even be mad about that because I had not earned their trust yet when it came to sticking with things. I needed to earn my own trust first, right? So the people that actually signed up with me first were my friends of my friends, people that kind of knew of me through the grapevine, but didn't necessarily know the past failures. They were the people that, like, we had this association of this friend and we had something in common, but not necessarily they knew everything about me. So that's where I stuck. I reached out to a lot of people that had same photographer, the same family photographer that we used, and it was easy to connect through them. They're great Christian people. They just, the salt of the earth people. It was very easy to dote on them and create a connection with somebody. I was a part of a MOPS group through my church, and I connected with people through there. So those were more warm-ish market. When we say warm market, that's what we mean. Those people that kind of have a connection to us in some way. What I want to focus on is cold market. These are people that just, they don't know of you yet, and you don't know of them. How you're going to go about finding them is those influencers that I asked you to think of before the call. I don't want them to be anybody Beachbody related. I don't want it to be Shalene Johnson or Shanti or anybody like that. Or even somebody who's written like a network marketing based book or a really popular network marketing book. Like Darren Hardy, his book, The Compound Effect, is really popular. You wouldn't want to go to Darren Hardy's because a lot of network marketers are going to be commenting and engaging in his posts. What I personally do is I go to my list of qualities that I want. I think of who has these qualities? Who has these qualities that potentially has followers that are similar to me, that have the same values? I go, Brene Brown would be decent. I feel like a lot of network marketers follow her, but you know, could work. Then once I go to their page, I look for a post, the last like 6 posts, I look for a post that kind of stands out to me, that would draw me in, that I would comment on. And then I go to the comment section and I kind of scroll through and see anybody that stands out to me. Typically what I'll do is if somebody's got the little red circle around them, that means that they do stories. So if I see that, I'm even more likely to click and, 531 them, which I'll explain in a second. But I will kind of go through and see the ones that stand out to me. And it could be somebody, and we're going to explain this, I think, in her call, but just somebody with, like, I have 2 really young kids. I have a toddler, I have a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old almost. And then I have an 11-year-old. So if they had a family in their picture, or if it's somebody who just looks like around my age and fun, or their picture is just really crystal clear and their social media looks like it would be legit, I'll click over and just check them out. And if there's somebody that I would be interested in getting to know more about, I simply just engage and show them some love on their post. They call it 531 because you're liking, as a general, 5 of their photos, commenting on 3, sending them a message on one of their stories if they have it, following them, and then doing what's called adding to a collection. And the collection is just when you save somebody's picture. So the girls this week on the Power Hours that I explained, they waited until they followed them back. I don't, because I'm not a good tracker. I've never have been. But when I find an easy way to do it, hold on a second. I'm going to quickly find somebody for you guys. Okay. So if I was going to this girl's page, which I have not looked through it yet, and I wanted to stay in connection with her, I would double tap 5 of her posts, I would find 3 that I could genuinely would want to leave a comment on. I don't just like, I don't say bullshit, but bullshit them. I don't want to like make up the fact that I'm interested. If I'm not genuinely interested, why would I take the time to add them? Like there are millions of people out there. Just find people that you actually genuinely would be interested to know more about. And it makes it really fun that you're playing on social media for your living, looking for your next best friend. So if I wanted to save her, then I would go to right here. And then you can click add to collections. Oops. Save to collections right here. And it'll allow you, keep clicking out of it. It'll allow you to have different ones that you can create to track different categories of people. So you could have one that just says new collections. You could have people that says, might have one for pick inspo. So when I need some inspiration behind some pictures that I'm gonna redo, I can go to that one. I have one for ideal looking IG feeds. I have one for waiting to be able to re-sign up. People that have canceled as a coach that said, hey, I want to re-sign back up with you when my 6 months is up. I have them in a list to be able to follow up with them when that time is ready. I have people for each mentorship group that I run, all of my new coaches, so that it's easy for me to go to their social medias and show them some love and make sure that I'm staying engaged. So having that collection allows you to track the people that you're converting or conversing with and getting to know. So the goal is that you guys are going to quickly, because we're already at 9:02 because I'm not great at time management, you guys are going to quickly find 10 people that you can newly connect with. You're going to add them to a collection so that you can follow up with them later. You're going to 5-3-1 them. Remember, these are just short comments. This is not you inviting them. This is just connecting. We will take a solid 6 minutes. So you're gonna have to move quickly. Okay, so for collections that you've saved, you click here when you're at your profile. Oh, come on, phone. And then click saved. And that has all the different categories all laid out. Well, the ones that I've created. If you haven't created any, you'll just have one. So then when I pull up like coach potentials, it pulls up all the girls and makes it into one feed for me to quickly go through. I am not a big follower of private accounts personally, because there's so many people with not private accounts. And I just like to say I respect that boundary if they have that up. I also love to find people, like I said, that do stories and actively engage on social media already. Really easy to show them they could be monetizing that. Doesn't have to be a huge account, just somebody that's actually actively engaged. You have to scroll down, because a lot of times when you put on a big bloggers page, the ones that have the bigger followings tend to be towards the top. Jillian, I would probably pick someone different then, because I don't really come across very many. I would pick a different influencer. Lindsay, I mean, you can definitely do that with people that have larger followings. They're less likely they're going to get so many, comments and things like that, that they're less likely to swipe over to see you, and less likely to respond back. But not to say that you shouldn't at all. And it depends what you call a larger following. Stephanie, authors, if you think about people that you're really drawn to, and for whatever reason, that you're drawn to them, like for me, values for me are most important. Like, I don't do a lot of fashion bloggers, even though I like fashion and I even like some of the girls, but value-wise, I might not find similar people. If I go to my favorite Christian author, I know we're going to have that in common, which is super key for me, and I can easily find my tribe. So you got to think sort of in that way. No, people can't see when you've added them to a collection. I personally, my suggested, like the space when you go to search and it's all the different things, I don't find inspo there. Like, I mean, there are some beautiful photos, don't get me wrong, but I feel like I go down, I think it was Marie, I think you were saying this. That's when you get lost in that like apocalypse of just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and you all of a sudden there are like 25 people deep that you've gone down. I think you have to be intentional about the people that you're picking to find your ideal customer. Narnia, yes, that's what you said. I was like, yes, that's so true. Yeah, they can't see. Thank goodness, Cassie. Yeah, even a local business. I love that, Jillian. Jill, love ya. Okay, we will end this soon. I'm gonna give it one more minute, then we're gonna close things out. Always 10 minutes late. My husband would guarantee laugh at this. Yes, it is recorded. Okay, so just to wrap things up, the goal that you guys should have is to do this business in a way that it can consistently be done day by day. Not saying every day. It's just like our workouts. Like, we can go and do one workout, and you could work out for 2-3 hours straight, right? But if you take the next 6 days off, it doesn't really matter. And the fact of the matter is, you ain't gonna show up the next day, look in the mirror, and see any difference from that 2 or 3 hour workout. You're gonna just feel the pain of the fact that you killed yourself for 2 or 3 hours in one day. How does working out results work? It works through consistency, right? So this business is so similar to that. You have to do bursts of work throughout the week consistently in order to see those results. And after 1 week of working out 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, do you get in the mirror and do you see much of a difference? Not really. You might see just like one little inch might have fallen off between all the different, measurements. But there are things happening there, right? Like, there are changes that are in the works if you persist and keep going consistently. You can work out for a week and you can take the next week off and eat boom chicka pop pop every night of the week. And guess what? Your 5 days of working out are a waste. And that's exactly how this workout or this business works. I've seen it time and time again. People have a solid 2 weeks, like okay, it's the 16th right now. The next 2 weeks, you got to push for Success Club, you kill yourself, and then you're like, phew, I got it by the skin of my teeth on the 30th, and now I'm gonna like just take it easy for a hot second because I earned it. If you would have just been consistent throughout, it wouldn't have been so difficult. And then it would have been more enjoyable and sustainable, and you wouldn't see this dip from your plateau and uninvolvement. Like when you stop doing the work, the momentum that you have really built up dies down. Like maybe not right away, but inevitably it does. And it's just this constant start, stop, start, stop, start, stop. And you end up like kind of feeling like you're just spinning your wheels. And I know some of you guys have felt that way before. If you just maintain consistency and you show up and you do these things 30 minutes to an hour a day. If you take away all my talking in here, this was 30 minutes of work. So if you take and you get really super focused and you show up as the person that you need to be to run the team that you want to have and earn that, because he who can be trusted with little can also be trusted with much. If you are not showing up as the person that could do the things that you want to be able to do, you won't be gifted with it. If you start to be consistent with what you have now and you show up well for the little team that you have now, he who can be trusted with little will also be trusted with much. And you will see that team expand and you will be able to handle it. It won't be too much. So everything that I had achieved in coaching, I look back now and I'm like, I achieved it just at the time that I could handle it, that I deserved it, that I had earned the right to have that gifted to me, the responsibility that comes with it gifted to me. So understand over the next 30 days, as you show up as the person that you wrote down, your dream coach, that you show up as this person every single day, and you're gonna have to hold yourself accountable because this person's hard to be. It is hard to be this person. It takes intentionality. It takes doing the things that you don't want to do on the days that you don't want to do it, especially during quarantine with your kids home and, you know, lots of things really weird. But people need you right now more than ever. And they need you to show up as your best because you could be their way out. You could be their solution. You could be their sanity at this point. So anyway, thank you guys so much for being on. I cannot wait to see you continue to kill it. I pray that we will be on this call a month from now and you'll be like, holy crap, my entire business has been changed just for the fact that I started to do these things consistently throughout. So love you all. So proud of you already and have an amazing weekend.